listening to the CubeCast.
Hi everyone, welcome to Episode 9 of the CubeCast. We're here today with a Winnipeg Parkour legend here with Sam Armstrong. So we'll just jump right into this. And Sam, how are you doing?
I'm great. Thanks for having me on the show, guys.
Yeah, it's great
Thanks
to
for
have
being
you.
here. Seriously.
No worries.
It's hard to get a hold of a guy like you.
Oh,
Like,
I don't know. I don't think I'm as busy as you think I am, Christy. I'm mostly just fooling around.
So you just got back to Winnipeg a few days ago, right?
No, I'm actually not in Winnipeg. I'm
Oh,
in a quarantine Airbnb. Well, I went through the 3-day quarantine hotel process, and now
yeah.
I'm like finishing the quarantine in an Airbnb in Abbotsford, British
Oh, wow.
Columbia, which is sort of a random spot. Me and my girlfriend picked it just based on price because we couldn't really get back to Winnipeg, and then like with the rules and everything, you're not really supposed to be with like older people.
Right,
Even though I've taken 2 negative COVID tests, but
right.
the whole system's a bit crazy. Everything's going a bit crazy, but
Wow.
yeah,
So when you come back to Winnipeg, do you still have to do another 2 weeks?
I suppose I would.
Hmm.
Yeah, if I came back, at least with
Oh,
the current rules, I'm not. Yeah, I
yeah.
think so.
So where are you coming from?
From Turkey.
Wow.
Mhm.
What were you doing there?
I was sport climbing for 3 months with my girlfriend, which is like a form of rock climbing.
Right.
you say
What's
that
it?
so casually.
Yeah, yeah. Just
Oh,
sport climbing for
just
3
sport
months
climbing
into
for 3 months, no big deal. I wasn't really busy at all, I'm not as busy as you think. Like, come on, guy. Like, jeez.
Well, there's a lot of just hanging out, I mean, it's kind of
Right.
just yeah, just easy living over there.
Are
What
you
was before Turkey? Oh, sorry, Tom.
I was just gonna say, are you in the middle of like nowhere for most of the time when you're out there?
We
Like,
rented like a little bungalow in this big valley that's kind of famous in the climbing world for climbing, and the bungalow was in a campground. And so
okay.
within the campground there was like a shared kitchen and stuff, and then we had
Mm.
our own kitchen, and then there's a whole bunch of different like Turkish people as well as like international climbers there. Like most of them are in tents or small bungalows, and yeah, it's just like kind
Oh.
of a climbing community.
You're intense, Sam. Like, seriously, when I was watching your Instagram, like, I had adrenaline for like hours afterwards. Just from watching your Instagram, and then I was babbling to my wife, and she's like, "Is that guy that hung out on a crane? It's one hand?" Like, that's the guy.
Man. So I know, like, I don't know if you listen to Mark's, like the last episode, but as I mentioned on there, I basically know nothing about rock climbing and terminology. So what is sport climbing exactly?
Sport climbing means that there's bolts in the wall,
Yeah.
and then you have quick draws, which is like 2 carabiners that you clip
Okay.
to the bolts, and that's what you clip your rope to. And then you climb like usually like 30 meters,
Mm-hmm.
and the goal is to do the 30 meters without falling or having the person who's belaying you like weight the rope, like put
Right.
tension in the rope to hold you in place.
Right.
So typically you like practice the pitch. Like if it's a hard one, you might have to like rehearse the moves, and then you try to do it without falling. That's basically the idea of sport climbing. So
Wow.
it's like pretty far removed from like what like a typical parkour person might think of climbing. Like you're all about the equipment and safety and like
Right.
yeah, and then you're just trying to do these like hard moves that you've rehearsed. Yeah,
Right.
it's
Right.
cool.
Right.
That's mostly what I do uh nowadays as a
That's
sport.
that's kind of like the parkour version of climbing, then, isn't it?
I guess
Like,
so, yeah, but I mean in
like,
parkour climbing you definitely don't ever want to fall.
but you know when you're practicing parkour and you're like, you have your line basically, right? And you practice it
Oh, that's cool.
beforehand, you know, like do it a few
Mhm.
times until you actually like go for it.
Yeah, you do each individual segment and try to make it flow. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got a line.
Damn.
Hmm
So how many countries have you actually been into now for
Oh, in
climbing?
total? For climbing or in total?
Or just in, I guess in your travels.
Definitely over 20. But wait, yeah, definitely over 20. But recently I hadn't done so much. Like I went to New Zealand a couple times. 'Cause at first
Right.
I went there to do like a working visa, a working holiday.
Yeah.
And I met my girlfriend and then we went back there again. And in recent years I went to Australia as well.
Mm-hmm.
And then yeah, most recently Turkey. But I want to like explore more of Canada, like get better at the in the North American
Right.
climbing. I mean, this fall we did a road trip through British Columbia and Alberta rock climbing, and that was a lot
Yeah.
of fun and nice to do it in Canada. But the season's just so much shorter here
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
for obvious
That's
reasons.
true.
Mhm.
Have you gone into like the Canadian Shield very much? Like
Mm,
where Mark likes climbing?
yeah, a little bit more, not as much as a lot of like as a Winnipegger should have, I guess. I've done a few things that, but I haven't like done any. Yeah, I've never done any first descents in the Canadian Shield like Mark, and haven't put up any of my own routes. But there is definitely there's stuff I want to do out there for sure.
Yeah. I mean, apparently there's unlimited supply of climbs.
Yeah, Mark would probably not appreciate me saying this, but I don't think it's not on the same level as a lot of other uh, climbing places. Like in
Hmm.
terms of quality, you don't get like as many sustained pitches. Like
Right.
the Canadian Shield style tends, which is it's still really cool, but it oftentimes you'll get like either really technical slab climbs where it's the angle
Hmm.
like not is not even vertical, but then there's hardly any holds, and you're
Right.
just really balancing up, which I
Mm.
Yeah.
think is very like kind of parkour style in a way, using like or like vertical as well. But you won't get off in overhanging stuff, and I like really overhanging climbing
Right.
Look
with
at
big
those hands.
stalactites. And
Look at those hands, Sam. Like,
um,
they're
but
huge. Like,
that could be from working as well. I think I've used them a bit.
uh,
Mhm.
sorry, go on. I apologize.
No, no problem. But there's definitely is stuff I want to, stuff I want to do. There's a few, like I've seen some pictures of the Sherwood Forest, and then also like some of the other like areas that have been developed that have some like potential for new routes. Like, it would be a cool place to do a new route, I think, because I'm kind of from the area, and there's like
Hmm.
Mark is definitely right, and there's a lot to like establish still. Like a lot of
Yeah.
stuff that's just unclimbed and like really high potential. Whereas if you go to some of these other like like there's really good stuff, but it's already been done. And like
Yeah.
I usually always just do stuff that's already been done, which is one thing I definitely miss from parkour, because
Mm.
there were a lot of jumps and stuff that I remember doing in Winnipeg where like I had my eye on them for a long time, and then like one day you would just do it and you were like the first person to ever do that jump, and it
Yeah.
was like a really cool feeling. And then you go, and now I watch videos of like the Team Chasm kids, and they like warm up on those jumps, I think. But
Yeah. That's true.
it's still pretty cool to see.
Well, yeah, it's it's always things are always easier after someone's done them already.
Yeah, yeah.
You
Once you
know,
realize that it's possible.
it's that person that breaks the jump for the first time. That's
Mhm.
that's the hardest one.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So with climbing, is that something you like want to try to make like a bit of a career out of, or is it just
Mm.
something you're kind of doing
No,
for
not
fun right now?
yeah, just a fun. It's just yeah, I guess a passionate hobby at the moment, and I don't think it will ever uh go further than that.
Yeah.
We lost Christy there, eh?
Now,
Uh, I don't know. Did you catch me rolling my eyes? Because I was like,
Just
I
just
heard.
lost you in the video for a sec.
Oh,
I think.
really? I'll come back in.
Yeah, both of you have been good on my end so far, but
Yeah, it jumps back in. Yeah, you've gone on mine, and I just waited patiently.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, praise Allah. Yeah. Well, I guess it'll make if Tom's the one recording.
Yeah, you'll be
Yeah.
editing it out.
I'll
What
probably
was
just
I
leave that
saying?
all in.
Probably.
What I do like as a career at the moment though is like called rope access, which is kind of like the closest thing I guess you could get without being any good at actual rock climbing to a climbing career. In a way, I mean, just because I like just professionally work at heights, I suppose.
Right.
Mhm.
But although what I mostly focus on is like the fiberglass stuff with wind turbines, but a lot of it is like with rope access, which is its own like it's like a almost like its own trade, uh, involving like manipulating ropes to access your work environment. So that's I suppose that's some crossover to a career.
Neat.
But climbing in itself, I wouldn't want to ever try to make that as a career. Nor do I have the skill level so high for that sort of thing that you have to be so strong nowadays.
Right.
That's like I was thinking, like, how does this guy not work for National Geographics? Your Instagram's just amazing. I have to say it again.
Thank you. But yeah, you see some of those National they have much higher camera quality, but they get to some really outrageous spots. I mean, the places I go for climbing usually aren't so. Sometimes you're going remote places, but there's like whole networks of guidebooks. And once you get into the climbing, it's a bit like the parkour world. Like there's
Mm.
like you wouldn't the layman doesn't really know so much about parkour, doesn't know what. But once you start to join the community and you know all these, you get to know all the pros, you get to know all the spots, and like you recognize spots through videos. It's the same with climbing. Like you're going to places that are, at least for sport climbing. Sport climbing is like the most maybe the most popular version, in a way the least adventurous. Like you're climbing a hard route, but it's like it's been climbed before for sure.
Mhm.
Like
Right.
you're not pushing new boundaries in a way. You're like climbing a graded route.
Right.
Someone else has decided a difficulty.
Well, so what got you into parkour at first? Like, how young were you? And did you like some kind of movie inspire you, or you see something on YouTube or something?
I've been thinking about this all morning, trying to get my
Oh.
facts straight a bit because I thought that would come up. So I started when I was I think 12 or 13, and I started going to this U of M open gym, and I just can't remember how I found out about that. I think I might have just been in the U of M by chance, and I saw that the gymnastics room was offering parkour programs,
Hmm.
or I'd gotten in touch with Tyler Christian on the forum. It was one of those two things, and I started going with two other friends who didn't really continue with parkour.
Mm-hmm.
For like a year, we'd go in the evening, uh, and then I'd start to familiarize myself with all the people. Like Mark and Tom were always there, and like, a lot of the
Yeah.
old school guys, Magni and
Oh yeah.
was often there, and who else? Well, I saw Cody was there too a lot, but I
Yeah.
didn't really talk much to Cody. Yeah, he used to come there too.
Yeah.
With all his piercings, and he was
Yeah.
always doing gainers, and I thought that was so sick. It was mostly weird.
Yeah.
And Tyler, of course. Like back then, there was this kind of structured parkour
Almost like a
sort
bit
of
of a class.
class, yeah, which I think was good for me at the time. I don't know if I would have like that later on,
Mm-hmm.
but as a beginner, as like to parkour, it was kind of cool to give structure and training. Like I was just
Mm-hmm.
sort of athletic kid, but I wasn't even that. I was more into video games. Like maybe I had some genetic athleticism, and I liked to go like hiking with my parents and stuff. So, but like just to do some basic training before the session, get some muscles, and yeah, it was
Yeah.
quite cool. That's how I got into it, and then I was always training outside. I remember my very first, like, there were a few like organized jams at the U of M, and I remember going on one jam that Tyler was kind of leading. There were like 20 of us. It was quite like a big community at that point.
Yeah.
And we went through, like, do you remember that space behind Frank Kennedy? Or
Yeah.
behind Max
The-
Bell, sorry.
The rooftop kind of
Yeah,
area.
the whole rooftop area, and
Yeah.
then there's that little tiny gap,
Yeah.
but it's got quite a big height. Like you go
Yeah.
on this roof, and then you hop over a railing. And like that later became like my training ground. But doing that for the first time, I don't think I did the drop. But seeing people, that was like the most fun day. That's what really got me hooked, I think, was that day. Because then I realized how fun it can be to train outside, and found all the spots at the U of M. And then, yeah, I think that's kind of how I got into it.
Oh, it's kind of cool that you actually have like a jam in mind that like got you into it.
Yeah. I mean, it was cool in this gym, but yeah, that jam was, and then
That's a good-
further subsequent jams.
That's a good spot though, the U of M. There's so much
really
to do
is.
there.
Yeah.
You can see why, especially when you're like in that spot, you're like kind of on a rooftop, but not really, you know? It's like a good intermediate.
Yeah, it's like it's a PG roof
Yeah.
jump. Like,
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
good one.
So especially when you first start out and you're like, oh yeah, I did it like a roof gap.
Yeah, roof cap.
and there's that other little mini area, like, I don't know if they're like heating vents, like closer to the max bell. Like there's almost two gaps, right? And that one is much less high.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah,
Like
that's
the
really good too.
famous raptor pits.
Oh, and then there's the raptor pits. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I love the raptor pits. Yeah.
Sorry, everyone listening right now is going to have no idea what we're talking about. But if you're anyone listening that hasn't been to Winnipeg, go check that out.
Mhm. It's like the historical spot.
Yeah.
Of the U of M anyway. I mean, not quite as historical as the Udina, of course.
Yeah.
But
So before parkour, like, were you into any sports as a kid?
I mean, that's going pretty far back.
Yeah.
I started parkour pretty young. Like, I don't know, I did one fall of like rock climbing at Vertical Adventures, and then never did it again. But that was really fun. I mean, I did play soccer and stuff, but
yeah. You're always more of an outdoors type person, like you enjoyed hiking and everything.
Yeah, and then at that time when parkour was starting, I was just more getting into video games. So I think it's a good thing I did fun, because hiking's great and everything, but it can be hard when you to like have that as your main passion, I guess, when you're 13. You know, like how are you gonna get out of the city and go hiking? Like you just stuck with your parents basically, and then you don't want to be with your parents. So I think a lot of like outdoorsy kids can kind of turn to video games otherwise. So it's a good hobby it's a good passion for someone in that sort of zone, like someone who doesn't really fit into his typical team sports. Because I never really liked teams, so much like Mark was saying, like in his podcast, that wasn't me at all. Like I couldn't get into that sort of thing. I felt like all this pressure when I tried to compete on a team,
right?
Like, because if you mess up, you're accountable for more than just yourself.
Yeah.
I think I like that with parkour, and with climbing too. Like if you're having a bad, you're not like letting anyone else down if you fail. It takes the pressure off, I think.
Yeah, that resonates with me. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's probably a lot of people are attracted to it for that reason, to solo sports.
Do you have something, Tom?
No, were you just gonna say something there?
Yeah, I was gonna go back in the day, up in the janky PK room.
Oh yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Do you remember coaching me a couple times up there?
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah, God. Thank you for making me push through some right now I'd probably say really easy things, but back then it was like, mind blowing to get over just like a 3 foot gap.
Well, thank you for being an excellent student. Yeah, I think that room could like helped a lot of
Oh, it was
people
great.
with their creativity and stuff.
Do you remember this thing about the 11 when we'd warm up and do push-ups? We'd do something about the 11. It's for the 11th person, or the 11th person that can't be here, or you know what I mean?
Ah, yeah. Okay, I
Yeah.
saw
Okay.
your
Good.
question on email and I didn't know what you meant, but now I know what
Good.
you mean.
Good. Good.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, did I just imagine that, or
No,
because it's
okay,
very
no.
possible I made it up.
That's something. So this is actually kind of a cool story. Like, so there's I guess it's the Yamakaze
Oh.
where it like started this, and they always, anytime they were training, instead of doing like sets of 10, they would do sets of 11 for their friend who isn't there. So the 11th push up, the 11th pull up, the 11th sprint, I guess, the 11th jump. That was for like their buddy who wasn't training. And the person who told me that, his name is Laurent, and he's like he's one of the Yamakaze, and I met him in Italy, which is really cool.
Really?
Yeah.
When
Cool,
did
huh?
that happen?
That happened when I kind of like took a break from school and I went to Europe for several months. That was like kind of my intro to like my first kind of trip abroad, at least by myself. And
Yeah.
that was also like the height of my parkour, I think, like
Mm.
when I was training the most. And I went to a bunch of different countries, and Italy was one of them. And yeah, I met up with Laurent and some other Italian tracers in Milan. And he's way more into his training is like 90% conditioning, 10%
Yeah.
parkour.
Hmm.
It was like the days at Fantastics, but like to the max if you train with him, because you have to like follow this regimented workout. It's a bit strange, but yeah, he told me like, okay, we do 11 like it's so many push-ups. They just do push-ups, push-ups.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
that's such typical Yamakaze.
Mhm. Yeah.
Just an unreasonable amount of repetitions.
Yeah. But then I think I brought that back. I tried to teach that in Guy's room there.
well,
little
it's
bit.
stuck with one of your students.
That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if you've listened to all the episodes. You've gotten some shout outs for sure from
Yeah, the first I listened to a bit of Ryland's one. I mean, I want to listen to them all. They're pretty cool.
Mhm.
Oh, I've lost Christy again on my screen. But yeah, I heard one shout out to me. That was cool. Yeah.
yeah, that room has kind of shaped the current like generation of parkour right now.
No, I had no idea until like maybe 8 months ago how good those kids had gotten, because I'd always been following them, but I don't think I had watched their YouTube videos. And then one night I just watched all their like YouTube. I was like, oh, just blown away. And I don't think I was following Jesse on Instagram. Like I wasn't following a few of them, so I was missing some of their content. And then all of a sudden, it's holy shit!
Yeah.
Like they're just nuts, man.
Yeah, it's really awesome to see this progression over.
Mhm.
I mean, the couple generations that I've seen myself, it's pretty wild.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
a guy like you've seen many people come and
Mhm.
go in different generations. I mean,
Yeah, parkour, it's a
learning
lot.
time
It's a
now.
lot the same, but in some ways very different.
Yeah,
But yeah, it's just crazy now that your generation. I remember when you were starting, and then
yeah.
you've now
And now I was
inspired
called
like
an
the
OG
next.
at this.
Yeah,
I
Yeah,
don't think I'm
totally
an
are.
exactly.
OG.
Yeah.
I think yeah, maybe not the O.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
Mm.
I actually just watched. I think your last video was a 2015 video.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, maybe that was like when you were like into the heaviest of your training.
hmm
That's a solid video though.
Oh, thank you.
I
Yeah,
think that holds up even today. Like it's good.
yeah.
I'll have to
Thank
include
you.
that link so other people can go
Yeah,
watch
everyone
that
check out
after.
Sam
I
Armstrong on
always
YouTube.
felt that like I was pushing bigger and bigger, but my technique, some jumps like it improved at a slower rate. And I
Hmm.
think that's ultimately held me back a bit. Like I think the ability to like recover from if you like if you like undershoot, that was something I always missed. And
Hmm.
yeah,
Like
I think I would have trained that more maybe in my like beginning years.
the
Yeah.
whole like parkour ukemi stuff, like
Yeah, maybe
like
not
knowing
to
how
the
to fall.
extreme of like falling, but just like knowing that like yeah, kind of ukemi, I guess. And when you like bounce off a precision, it's always
Yeah.
bad at that. Things like this.
That's
Yeah.
probably the hardest thing to develop. Like definitely a weak point for me too, but
Totally.
definitely the most helpful at the same time,
Mm-hmm.
you know? Like if you know that in any situation, even if you mess it up, you'll be able to recover in some way. I guess that must be a constant thought too, and when you're rock climbing, right? Everything is like, if this goes wrong,
Yeah.
what's the bailout?
Yeah, it's true. But yeah, I mean, ultimately with sport climbing, you just like take a big fall, but the rope will catch you. It can be a bit
Yeah,
scary,
Yeah.
but
right, because you're trusting all the bolts in there,
yeah,
and then your actual gear, your ropes.
yeah, it's sound, it's solid. Like that stuff doesn't really break
Do you have
in like
what was like the biggest fall you've actually had?
maybe like 30 feet.
Yeah.
Wow. So that's like that'd be like 15 feet up from the anchor point, and then you go 15 feet past,
It could be like 10
basically.
feet up,
Yeah.
and then because there's so much slack in the rope, and then
Oh.
like there's all points of the dynamicism in the belay. So you'll pull the belayer up usually a little bit because of
Hmm.
the force difference. I usually get belayed by people who are a bit lighter than me as well. And then there's the rope stretch, um, and then yeah, just the slack through each point in the through the quick draws.
Right.
So you
Yeah.
end up usually falling further than you were above your last.
Right. There's a whole like formulas to follow, right? When you're bolting in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you've got something called fall factor, which is like the height, the amount, the length of the fall divided by the amount of rope in the system. So
Hmm.
the highest fall factor you can take is 2 in theory. If you were like if you had like say you had like a steel cable attaching you to an anchor and you were
Right.
10 feet up and you fell, that would be a fall factor 2, and that would hurt everyone. Like that would really hurt it'd like break your hips or
Right.
something. It'd be very painful. But with the sport climbing belay, you're attached to the person at the bottom, and you have like let's say 50 feet of rope in the system. So even if you fall 10 feet, you're taking nowhere near the same fall factor, and it's yeah, you're putting a lot less. Like the amount of force in the system is dissipated a lot, and you barely
Right.
feel it. Yeah, yeah, it is a cool science to that.
Man, all that is so crazy. Just this whole other, not just worrying about yourself and your own technique, but then to be thinking about all the gear and attachment, like, ugh.
I'll have to send you some videos of sport climbing to give you like a solid you guys a solid concept of what
Yeah,
I should yeah take some more videos of myself doing that, I suppose.
yeah. It's yeah, you. I mean, you don't post like a ton, hey? I see,
No.
see some like pictures like every maybe couple of months or something.
Yeah, I could probably do more of that. I do miss that from parkour as well. Like you do a move or a sequence or a line or a trick and you film it. You get it filmed and you put them together and edit. And I really enjoyed that. It's just a bit harder with climbing to like make a nice product, I think, because it's a lot less like it's not just like a single move or like a single line, like you're slowly moving up a wall. Sometimes like an ascent can take 30 minutes,
Right.
and then you're like filming someone's butt the whole time, unless you have a drone or you're hanging on a rope above them,
Yeah.
or you're just in a place that naturally there's like an incline above. It can be quite hard.
Yeah, that's
It's
true.
something I really miss, actually.
Well, at least it's getting I think it's getting easier and easier all the time to film. You know, technology is always getting better.
Yeah,
Yeah.
true.
But it's also the time. Like, I know I don't post a lot, and shame on me, but it's like, when do I have time for like to post and like take an hour of my day to post like a minute clip? And it's like, dang, I don't. And then I see everyone else just like posting, and like, good for them. I just don't like.
It's
If it's an
draining,
hour,
social
it's
media.
yeah, it's either sleeping or eating or some of my other hobbies.
Gardening.
There you go. Yeah, big time.
Yeah, it is actually it's time consuming though after like you film something but then you have to like upload it or like edit it. It's like for every minute of filming it probably takes 2 or 3
Yeah.
just to
Yeah.
actually make it visible.
Especially if you want to make something that's of quality, like
Yeah. Then
Yeah.
if you actually add quality to it then
then it's even
it's a lot longer.
triple that. Yeah.
It's like like an hour for every minute.
Didn't you go to school to Vincent Massey with Sonny and Cody?
Yeah. And
Yeah, it
Darren,
was
yeah.
Darren too. Isn't Darren in Switzerland or something like that? Or
No, he was in the Netherlands for
Netherlands.
2 years, but he's back in Winnipeg now.
Yeah.
Sick. We got to get him. Get him
Get
out.
him on the show. Get all those guys on the show. That
Yeah.
would be really interesting to
That's
hear
cool.
their perspectives on the parkour community. I mean, I really kind of my parkour grew up with those guys in a way. Matt Work as well, Braden Cummings.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Trained with there for like shorter lived periods.
Yeah.
But they were always training. Carter. Yeah, all kinds of interesting characters came and went through the parkour scene, and like
Yeah.
but yeah, just like filming things with Chester. I don't know if
Chester. I was gonna ask you about Chester.
Yeah.
You went to you went with him back to where he's from, and I can't remember where that is. That's why I'm being so general. And and you showed me some footage, and it was solid.
Yeah,
Like,
there's a video of that on YouTube too.
Oh, that's the one I've watched too. Like that. Oh, dang, that was a good one. Classic PK. Do a backflip.
Oh yeah, it's just backflips everywhere. That was cool too. That was an exhausting trip. I suppose that was my first actual international travel. Was that trip with Chester? That was really cool. Going back, and then, I mean, it kind of gave me a really solid deal. He was like, "Do you want to come to China?" And he said, "All you have to pay for is your flight ticket." And
cool.
so he just, I mean, kind of treated me to a whole trip throughout China. Just would have been cool to see a bit more of the like natural side of China. We just went to like 3 cities. And it was exhausting. I've since been back to China for rock climbing. But like it was exhausting, like just being surrounded by, I guess, Chinese people, like not speaking any English for 3 weeks.
Right.
And just going through these mega cities with a ton of pollution and eating weird food and getting really sick and trying to do parkour, but like walking for 20 kilometers a day just around a giant mega city is it's draining, but it was cool. We trained with like a lot of locals. It was the scrappiest makeshift gym in this one city that we trained at. I got really sick on a Beijing subway.
Oh no.
All kinds of fun stuff.
Well, I'd like to do a shout out to Chester.
Yeah,
Chester,
shout out
if you're
to
listening.
Chester Bale. He got to pick his first and last name, Chester, because his real name is Yijing something. Oh man, that's pretty embarrassing. But Chester because of like the lead
forgive
singer of
you.
Linkin Park, I think,
Oh,
Oh yeah.
and then Bale because of Christian Bale.
Oh really?
Yeah,
I
Wow.
love it.
I don't think he realized that like what a Bale was, a parkour Bale,
A Bale.
at the time of picking his name. But
Well, good for him. I like him. He was fun to see in the gym.
another good Chester story is he was like training for the first time with Mark, and Mark was like, "Oh, that was sick," and Chester thought that was an insult. He got like, "What do you mean? What was wrong with it?" Like,
Yeah, right. Because if you don't know English super well, right?
yeah,
Sick is bad.
yeah, it doesn't. You don't want to be
Don't want to be
sick.
sick.
Yeah.
I'm not wearing a mask.
I was sick. What the? What's your problem?
Yeah, it's funny how slang is.
Yeah, totally.
It's fun.
And then it became one of his favorite words, I think.
Yeah, really? That's so funny. So I have a question. I don't know if you were a part of this. How do I say this? Apparently you, Cody, Darren, and Sonny proved to the principal of Vincent Massey that you could get up to the top of it.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
that's definitely. Yeah. We had a couple different ways.
That's a pretty neat you know, say this was a jail. It's pretty easy to get out of jail if I wanted to, kind of thing.
For sure. Yeah, I think that was
That's
Sonny had an interesting relationship with the principal, so I think
cool.
yeah, that was probably led by him. But that
Yeah.
sounds familiar.
Yeah, shout out to Sonny too.
Yeah.
Let's see if
Yeah, you got to get on
see
the
if
show.
he's around.
for
He's
sure.
an OG.
Did you guys like was it frowned upon at your school? Like if you guys were training?
Training was
Yeah.
fine. I don't think we could have climbing on the school definitely would have been frowned upon. But
Oh yeah.
we used to train every lunch. We'd train a bit. We'd always go over to Sonny's at lunchtime and hang out.
Oh, cool.
And he had a trampoline in his backyard. And there was
Mm.
also something I wanted to point out to the Chasm kids, but like right beside Massey is the Holiday Inn, and there's this parkade, another whole roof to kind of go on, but it's a really easy roof gap. But there's this Kong cat that I don't think anyone's ever done that is totally up their alley. It's like, it's not even that big, but
Yeah.
it's just always scared us. It's probably like 6 feet or 5 feet, and like level to level. Like it's just a perfect run up and perfect height for the Kong, but it's just like a proper sized Kong cat with like a 15-foot drop, so you don't really want to fall.
Wow.
But they would do it so easily. They might even concrete it.
Yeah.
Huh.
That's actually very possible, yeah.
Yeah, so I want to point that out to them.
Yeah, I've often driven by that parkade and thought of there was something there. Not for me, but for maybe for somebody else. But even like a descent or something,
Yeah, that's true. You could do maybe some kind of descent on that too. That was a relatively new, I guess, never really did any descents. They were just kind of coming into popularity.
Yeah, it's funny how their parkour, like each year there's like a different kind of like cool thing to do,
Yeah.
right? Like
Every year.
ascents and then ascents. Monkey style.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. 2 foot, 1 foot.
Have you been like do you follow like parkour stuff very much lately?
Some stuff. I like binge watched a bunch of Store
Oh yeah.
a while ago, and I really like Dom Tomato.
Yeah.
But like a lot of the original channels that I used to like, even those guys have kind of dialed it back. Like Jason Paul as a kid now, like Team Farang. I don't know what happens to that much. I don't know
Yeah.
so much about like the new channels to follow. Like There's a lot of it's like seems really geared to social media more than,
Yeah.
and I kind of miss the days of like just doing a really big jump. A lot of it's gotten like really flowy, which is still cool and like it's
Yeah.
very
Mhm.
impressive. And most of the people are, yeah, like I mean, they're really, really talented athletes. But the
Mm.
style has changed a
Yeah.
bit, and I do miss like the red board emotion days.
Yeah.
That like, well,
The big trick.
the big tricks
Totally.
is always, I
Yeah.
don't know.
The throwdowns.
I mean, there's still like a lot of. I mean, there's so many different styles of parkour, and there for each type of variation. There is like a lot of people that are
It's
really
good.
bringing that aspect to its peak now. It's yeah. So things I guess don't really die. They don't really die out. They're not fads, but it just goes through cycles of interest, really.
Hmm. Some of the store videos are still really quality content. Like the stuff
Mhm.
they put out, and I mean, I guess they're all living. It's a whole team, and they're all living off of it. But
Yeah, it's pretty wild to like think how big they actually are now in terms of their subscribers, and
mhm.
I think they just hit 7 million.
Nice.
Holy
Good
shit.
for them.
Yeah, it was
Really?
like what was it, like a couple of
Wow.
years ago they're at 1, and just think back when you started, Sam.
Mhm.
Imagine hearing that like someone in parkour has 7 million subscribers. Be like,
Yeah. Like
no way.
that would be like the record of subscribers. Like that would be like
Yeah.
Smosh. Smosh
Yeah,
maybe has 7
exactly.
million subscribers
Yeah.
and the most viewed YouTube channel.
Yeah.
I did watch like We Are Storer as well when I was binge, and like that was their video that made them famous, and it's really shitty compared to all their other, like their new and they look so young. Yeah, it's really.
Mhm.
But that video like got me so stoked.
Was
Everything
that roof?
about that, like I'm gonna go out and train now. Like
Yeah, geez, well, that would have been like 2011,
yeah, probably.
maybe like a year after they actually started.
Yeah,
And
but then they could just put that on the scene and make a name. Yeah, it was really cool.
Hey,
Jarrell, there's another guy who was used to.
Jarrell.
oh yeah.
Yeah, I remember Jarrell. I want to say a shout out to Jarrell and Cody. We didn't do Cody back in that little bit there. Still in the
Yeah, you
guilt.
gotta look in there.
Jarrell. Oh, geez, that's a classic too. He shows up every once in a while, or used to, and I was just like, you know what? There's like a figment, something that you don't really see that often, but when you do see it, it's like, is it really there? Is Jarrell really there? Yeah, he's there and he's gone. Oh, damn, did I miss it? Was he really there? Thanks.
We'll return right after this commercial break.
Good one, Tom. Check out sagemovement.net for apparel. We have the Essentials, OG, and custom prints. Now the Essentials, there's these awesome hoodies, beanies, joggers, and yes, the Sage mug. Everyone's been asking for it, so now it can be yours. The OG is what I'm wearing right now. It's the Sage logo with parkour, tricking, and free running. It's actually it's one of my favorite t-shirts to wear. And the custom prints, I don't want to spoil it. You have to go check them out yourself. They're really, really great. And if you want to see our athletes in action, go see YouTube, Sage Movement. Also, Instagram, Sage Movement. It's a real freak show, to tell you the truth. Like and subscribe. Leave a comment. That really helps us. And thank you for your support. Now, back to Tom.
And we're back.
Sam
All right.
Armstrong.
So, what I'm curious about here, are you planning on ever training, like getting into parkour again?
Mm-hmm.
Nah.
Yeah.
I'd like to. I don't know. No, maybe not. Yes and no. I try to like incorporate it into like other stuff, but like
Right.
parkour in the same sense that I trained in, the same way I trained it before, probably not, because I don't know, my like depth perception, my level has gotten so much lower. I think I would really have to start from lower down, and like ultimately I was hurting myself a lot doing parkour.
Oh,
Mhm.
really?
And that's one thing I really don't miss is like how often I would end up just like with a bruised knee or like heels, shinjuries, like oh, mostly
Yeah.
heels though. I hurt my heels so many times stomping a jump wrong, like landing
Right.
on my heels. Yeah, I don't really miss that aspect of it. But like I still like to be if like I like the idea of like being efficient and moving efficiently and
Hmm.
doing like isolated vaults and like some jumps, and I can still do like backflips and side flips and things, and I
Yeah.
like cliff
Oh, yeah.
jumping, and yeah, I can
Yeah.
still do all that, of course.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
cool.
Nice.
Uh, I can do a little shitty swing gainers. Like maybe going to a gym and seeing what I can do. If I was ever in like a, and then it would be cool to train in like like the U of M in my training grounds. Like some of the jumps that I've done, I'm just worried. Like some of the jumps I've done 200, 300 times, I don't know if I could still do them.
Yeah.
Right.
Like it's weird. It's weird how much I've lost my depth perception with
Yeah.
jumps. Yeah, it's really, I didn't
Like,
think it would happen. And I look at like guys who I think used to train a lot more and now they don't train as much. I don't think they had the same regression that I had,
hmm.
which is,
So,
yeah, kind of sad to say.
so you just feel like you have more trouble actually gauging like your ability to do that jump.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
And
guess
it's
that,
only with jumps. Like I feel like I could easily get back, not that my level with tricking and stuff was so low to begin with, but I feel like I could easily get back up to that level.
right.
But yeah, it's more about landing. Yeah,
Hmm.
just like being in control of your body in the air and like seeing where you want to land, like landing with your toes. And like I think I would have to do a lot of maybe fewer repetitions than I think, maybe just sidewalk precisions over
Yeah.
and over again to get back to it. But
It's definitely one of those things where you're constantly, even training regularly, like you're constantly like adjusting that gauge, really. You
you
know,
know what would?
especially
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
sorry, I was just gonna say after
Yeah.
like a winter, right? And then you get back to outdoor training, like I know it's like that for me, where it's just like I don't know if I can still do that jump.
Yeah.
But then a
But then
couple
you tell yourself, I
sessions.
mean, you did it before, so you should, and you haven't like, yeah, there shouldn't be any reason why. But yeah, I guess a couple sessions and
Yeah, it'd probably come back to you a lot faster than you think.
Mhm. Yeah, I think so. But I notice when people go away from parkour and come back, that their style has changed so much because of the bigness that you
Hmm.
used to be capable of doing or wanting to do, we'll say.
Mhm.
And then there's this unspoken flow that comes from nowhere. And then you
Mm.
see guys like yourself doing these like cool combos which you would never see like put together before, and you're like, of course Sam would do that, you know?
Yeah, that could be cool to like go back and try to focus on flowier lines, and you could like build up, maybe build from the ground up, like build like what I was talking about earlier, like wanting to
Mm,
train my technique better, like start from the building blocks, almost like get back to training technique at a
Yeah.
lower level instead of just wanting to jump right back into doing roof gaps and things like that.
Yeah. Yeah, you can never go right back to full tilt. It's always take those steps again.
fundamentals.
Yeah. Even though you'll be able to probably progress through them more
Yeah.
rapidly.
Mhm.
It's
You know, but
kind of
that's what it's
like
all
riding a
about too.
bike.
Yeah, like you have to go through your fundamentals. I notice when I have an injury or when I start to see myself sucking, you know you get hard on yourself and you're like, I suck right now. Like, why am I sucking? You have to take it back to the fundamentals.
Yeah.
Like, okay, I just have to stick half my precision size right now, or I don't have to, maybe I should get my swing gait better for like flyaways or whatever habit. You just got to go back to those little tiny little motions that got you there in the first place. And next thing you know, you're back to where you were. And it's just a good reason to get hard on yourself. You know what I mean?
I think part of how I got into climbing versus parkour was I was like first I realized that like I wanted to start traveling and stuff. I really wanted to see the world. And so I did do that big trip through Europe and this like going to cities where I did a lot of parkour in cities. And I started to realize that like I wanted to see more like natural places. And the one thing, it's kind of funny with parkour, you like travel like all across the world, and then you go and climb and you go train in this like like random spot, like a architectural blemish in the city. Like half the city wants to like turn it into some new condos, but it's these bizarre like wheelchair ramps or something. You know, like and it's that is really cool in a way. But I also just really I wanted to see the natural world. And then I had hurt myself in this one spot, and then I ended up going to Thailand, and I went to this kind of famous climbing beach. It's like the whole area. It's like a real climbing hotspot. There's people from all over the world there. I ended up spending a month there, and I realized just how fun it can be to like all of a sudden I was progressing like I had done when I was younger. Like I was just moving through the grades, and like my technique improved so much. I learned so much about sport climbing in that month. And then I really like after that I was just hooked. And from then I was still training parkour, but I was doing both things at that point. And then slowly it became just really hard to train both to improve your climbing and parkour, like to keep my parkour at a reasonable level where I could keep jumping and not hurt myself. And like still doing the jumps I want to do and improve in climbing.
Right.
And now I climb at like a much higher level than that. So it would be, I think, kind of difficult to maintain this level in rock climbing. And I still want to keep pushing myself with rock climbing. But I could see myself, if I had like a more normal job in a normal place, like going to like going to regular jams and stuff, and refamiliarizing myself with jumps and starting from scratch. But like the last 4 years of my life has been like a bit hectic. I've been moving all over the place for work and for travel, and like and it's just been a bit it would be a bit, I think, I don't know, I have trouble like maintaining I had trouble maintaining that level, I think.
Yeah.
But it's not something like I'm like opposed to going back to. I do really miss a lot of aspects of it, especially the community aspect. I think that was But also the feeling that I used to get like solo training at the U of M mostly is where I would go. This is just like drilling jumps and feeling really good, and that was cool.
Well, Sam, when you come back into the city and you feel up to par, please come out to a jam. Let us know. And we'll make it happen.
Do you still, is like Saturdays still at the Udina is pretty much a thing?
Yeah, I'd say that's the usual spot.
Yeah, I think people just show up by random, but there's a chat in Instagram that everyone gets in on.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so sometimes it's the Cube, sometimes it's the Ledge. Odina's pretty solid in and around there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess there's a lot of spots around there.
There's so many in Winnipeg. You got to be kidding me. There's so many.
Yeah,
I really like the
maybe
Ledge.
The
waterfront, and Portage in Maine and Portage Place.
Oh yeah.
There's some good spots.
That doesn't exist anymore, does it?
There's one cat that I go to there, and it's just below the it's underground parking. It's not the same one you're talking about or thinking about, but it's just this little island, we'll say, of beds and vegetation for the local people. And it's kind of gross, actually. But there's this pretty big cat that I really like, taking my confidence to a new level.
Cool.
Nice. Yeah. I know I can do the cat. It's just freaking yourself out every time to do it, and that adrenaline rush, the same rush that I get off of that cat is the same rush I get out watching your Instagram. It's like, why even do it? Like, just watch it. It's like adrenochrome,
So Sam, what's your kind of short-term plans here for the next like for the summer?
Well, yeah, I'm gonna start working again in Ontario.
Oh, yeah.
Unfortunately, I'm like in a week's time. I'm flying to London, Ontario, to do like a training course
Mm.
for a week, and then I'll be straight into work. And then, yeah, I'm hoping it would be cool. Last year, I did get to do a bit of work like just outside Winnipeg on the wind turbine farm south of
Oh, yeah.
Manitoba.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
that was really fun. It would be cool to go back there for a bit. But ultimately, I do want to like move to like I've got my van is here, and it's gonna probably stay in BC. I'm gonna store it here and then fly back to here at some point for more rock climbing.
Right.
And the goal is kind of to within the next couple of years to try to like put a down payment on a house somewhere, because like I have been like saving a bit of money. I try to like do really frugal trips when I'm going to these places. Like, so yeah, that's kind of the short-term plan, I guess. But mostly it's just gonna be working this summer, like take the winter off and work in the summer.
Yeah. Well, I guess at that point, as soon as you have a house, that's when the
Things get more serious.
consistency will be back.
Yeah,
There'll
yeah,
be a
right.
real day-to-day
Maybe I
normalcy
can make a
there.
little bar set up in the backyard or something.
Yeah, yeah,
Get a trampoline.
yeah. That's like a must. Everyone should have a trampoline.
I think so, yeah. Every kid. I didn't have a trampoline growing up. I wish I did.
No, yeah, same. Would have helped a lot.
Yeah, no kidding.
Build up that air awareness. All right.
No, I
Well,
never had one. I have one now.
Christy, did you have anything else before we go into our top 5?
I really don't. I think I got all I could say to Sam, or catch up with Sam, or see where he's gone with everything nowadays. And no, I think we covered all my bases.
Sweet.
Cool.
I mean, I feel like there's like probably a ton of stories we could probably get into with your travels.
Oh yeah, I know.
If I mean, is there anything that comes to mind? Is there any like some epic moment in all your journeys?
Well, I would I'd recommend because you should watch the European travel videos I have on YouTube. There's some
Okay.
cool stuff in there.
Yeah.
But not just maybe the people I trained with a lot of interesting characters, like some of those famous jumps that you might have seen in like Barcelona. I played on. Some of them are huge. Like there's a few spots that I recognize from videos, but no, good story. Oh, this is a funny little story. It's just like I was training with this Italian guy, and there was like people are so religious in Italy, right?
Yeah.
There's some like religious figure behind there was kind of this weird statue, and then there was a gap, and then a fence, like a marble, not a fence, a marble like barrier.
Okay.
Like let's say like a 7-foot gap between and people threw money onto the holy figure. I don't know what it was.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then, but there were like right beside this was like some kind of museum or church with like security guards. So me and this guy we were waiting for like the security to kind of look away, and we jumped this 7-foot gap onto this figure and like grabbed all the euros that people had been throwing over there, and then
Nice.
jumped back. And then we went and got like some donair. Like
Wicked, I love it.
Get like a falafel from the
Yeah, no, that's great. Good story.
yeah.
At least the money went to a good cause.
Yeah, much better than just sitting there on the statue.
Yeah. I've seen people at the Forks use a thick magnet on a string
Oh yeah?
in order to throw the magnet on a
Where's
string.
the money in the forks?
Well, in these
In the fountains, I guess.
water fountains by like
Yeah.
the Johnson Terminal.
Oh, that's
Oh
smart.
yeah.
Yeah, is actually genius. I'll never forget that moment. he showed me that trick. I'm like, this bum's a genius. You know what I'm saying?
That guy, yeah. That's like fishing.
Yeah, literally. Yeah. Feed a man, teach a man.
Too bad. Doesn't that money go towards the fireworks every year?
Well, I think some things can be spared for people.
All
Let's
right.
go ahead. Okay,
So I have like two things for just the top five.
sure.
I'm sure you have a lot more than five of these ones, but your top five climbs you've done.
Ooh, good one.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Okay, well, just recently in Turkey, I climbed this thing called kurban, which is the Turkish word for sacrifice. And I know it's going to be kind of, because you don't know anything about like the grading system, but so there's like the Yosemite system is like 5 whatever. It's like 5, 5, 6, 5, 7, 5, 8, 5, 9, 5, 10 A, B, C, D, 5, 11 A, B. Anyway, this is the hardest grade that I've ever climbed. So that has to be obviously on the list.
Yeah.
That's a 513C sport climb.
That sounds difficult.
Yeah, well, it took me it took me 4 days of effort to do.
Cool.
Wow.
And then, so I'll say so I did this, there's this one 511A trad class. Trad climbing is where you put the gear in your, maybe Marcus explained that to you. You like put in you put a cam inside of a crack or something and it like holds you that way.
Right.
It's a little less, it's a little harder in your mind to trust falling on a piece like that.
Right.
Versus a bolt, which is like drilled into the wall. That's not going anywhere. Anyway, so just this route is called Fully Completely, named after the Tragically Hip song. And like my first time ever climbing with my friend Miles, we like looked at this, and then later on I like top roped it later in life, and then last summer climbing with the guy who opened the Hive gym, Corey.
Oh yeah.
Oh, nice.
I finally
check that out.
did that with traditional, like on leading it with trad climbing. So that was cool. I could get it. This is alpine climb with my friend Miles, Mount Temple in the Rocky Mountains. That was it's one of top 50. There's this book, Top 50 Climbs in North America, which is like this kind of famous book, but it's really it's kind of random how he's picked these 50 climbs, but nevertheless people like try to seek them out and do them, even though they're completely arbitrary. But it's one of them.
Right.
Some stuff I did maybe in Thailand. Maybe this route Convicted in the Red River Gorge, my first 13A in North America. That was like a real benchmark for me doing that.
Wow.
And Wake and Bake was my first 12A, and that was in Thailand. There. So
Nice.
Jeez.
I thought Wake and Bake is fitting.
Yeah, it is. You got that right.
Yeah.
Shout out to me.
Are those
Shout
like
out.
all like are those,
those are all
longer
sport
climbs?
Yeah, the first one I mentioned is 40 meters tall. That one's and like ridiculously overhanging. Like you start it here and you climb up a roof here. Like it's insane. And then you lower down, you're like in the other end of a cave. This was in this place called the Jan Baba Cave in Turkey, which you should take a look at later on Google, a picture of it. It's amazing. Like it's this mega cave, and you climb through the steepest part of it with stalactites and stuff.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
That must be pretty amazing.
Did you post that?
Yeah, that's I definitely posted some pictures of that place.
Yeah, I'm having a flashback of what you're talking about.
And that's my favorite style of climbing, is like really steep roof climbing where you can like do you remember the Ring of Fire at the Forks? That might have been Tyler Christian's name for it.
Yeah.
But at the washrooms.
Washrooms, yeah.
Yeah, I never like completed that as a kid. I could make it like 3/4
Tell me
of the
about
way.
it.
So you know the washrooms at the Forks, like the classic spot there. Like
it's closer to like the
stage the ones
area.
we're not supposed to go on.
Yeah. There's a roof on top that you can wall run up to, and there's a dyno, and then there's these like this circle of bizarre wooden, I don't know what the hell they even are, but wooden beams, I guess, and you can run on top of them, and all kinds of cool stuff can be done there. But the Ring of Fire was basically just like trying to do monkey bars, or like I mean, basically you go all around
Oh yeah.
the
Whole
thing with
circle.
you weren't allowed to climb on top, I don't
Yeah.
think, and you just try to it'd pump the hell out of your forearms.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
because
So I
you'd like
called it
monkey
that, right?
bars, and then you'd get onto the stone structure, and you'd like cat crawl. I don't know what would you call
Yeah.
that, around then back to the monkey bars. And I
Climb
never made. I
around.
started. I don't think I ever made it back to the washrooms, but those guys could do it, like Tyler and Zeddy.
Yeah, I think Zeddy did it. I don't know if anyone else actually got it.
Really?
Yeah, I
Oh, I'm
remember
sure I
it
could
was
do
like,
that now. I'd like to try that. That would be fun.
yeah, well, next time you're here, we'll have to
Yeah.
go to the Forks Jam and try that out.
Do
Yeah.
That'd be an
Ring of
awesome
Fire.
challenge. I'm sure it's still like those beams have not been replaced. They're even
No.
more worn down.
Yeah,
you
no
know?
doubt, right?
You're gonna hop off and have like just splinters through your
Have any of those
hands.
ever broken on someone from
That's what I was
like
just
jumping?
thinking.
I don't know if
Not that
any
I
have
know.
actually broken
I
yet.
never used to do big prees onto them just because of that. Like
Yeah,
I would
Yeah.
run on top of them, but like landing on them, I always thought was a bit sketchy.
all the
Yeah.
weight.
Yeah,
Yeah, some would wobble.
I don't know that. Yeah.
but
Yeah, that's a spot that I think gets overlooked a lot lately in the last
Yeah.
couple of years.
yeah, it's a lot of stuff there.
Okay, so now this is probably more of a throwback now, but how about your top 5 parkour spots that you've been to?
Okay, maybe I'll do specifically. Well, maybe I won't do specifically
Mhm.
Winnipeg, but like so. Okay, the U of W roof gaps.
Oh yeah,
So yeah, those are the best roof gaps I think in Winnipeg. And then seeing somebody, forget which one of them, they flipped it recently. That
Oh,
was
man.
insane. I don't know which one
Maybe
it was. It might have
Justin
been Ben, or maybe Justin. Justin does the
or
wild stuff like that.
yeah,
But it's huge, eh? Like
yeah. Those
anyway,
are it's a hefty drop too. Like if you
yeah.
fall, you're
Oh, you're dead.
yeah,
Or paralyzed.
yeah.
Yeah, it's huge.
Yeah.
And then there's that. Luckily, that door up there is always unlocked. I'm always like stressed that it's not going to be like
Yeah,
the door to
you
the
just
parkour.
Is that right?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know who decided to do it the first time, and like otherwise you would have just been stranded.
No doubt.
But yeah, so that was amazing. That's one of my favorite Winnipeg spots. And
Cool.
this like at the wheelchair ramp at the Udina, this
Mhm.
mega this well, it's not really mega. I mean, Tyrion does it like nothing, but I remember I did it, I think on like my 20th birthday or something. I really always wanted to do this huge, it's just a huge running pre, like from the end of the top of the wheelchair ramp. So it's basically like the biggest
Oh,
distance of that
yeah.
gap, and then you land on the other side of the monument thing.
Dang.
Right.
Kind of hard to describe.
Kind of closer to like the old spaghetti factory right there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Midway
then, yeah,
down.
the raptor pits, as
Oh
we mentioned
yes.
before, those have to get a shout out.
Those are my
So many good
favorite. I
spots.
wanted to say it earlier, but this is about you, not me. But it's
Oh,
one
you
of my
guys should do
favorites
it.
too.
You guys should interview each other, I think, and you guys
Oh
should have
yeah.
your own. You've both been in the scene a long time, and
Good idea. I should interview Tom.
vice versa.
Yeah.
And what else? Maybe some spots I went to in Europe were pretty spectacular. Like in Spain, just everywhere is a spot, and everyone's just done. Like I think it's hard when you go to a spot just one time to like
Mhm.
jump your hardest. Jump your hardest. Like, but train as hard as you could. Like you need to spend weeks at
Hashtag.
these spots to really feel confident, I think, at them. But some of the stuff I just saw people casually doing, like on a training day, like there's just Kong prees everywhere, and yeah, all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, here we have to find nuggets.
Maybe the Japanese gardens.
Yes.
Overlooked spot. That place is
Yeah.
awesome.
That's
It's
one
all
of my
kinds of cool
favorites
stuff
too.
there.
I know. It's a really good spot.
But just the U of M in general. I mean,
Mhm.
I've spent so much time training by myself there.
Yeah.
Like, I would just go out pretty much every weekend. A lot of evenings in the summer, like when the classes aren't on.
Yeah.
Like,
Mhm.
just training, jumping, rehearsing, drilling. Yeah, it's a cool way to just like get into the zone.
I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, that whole campus is kind of like a small town in itself,
Yeah.
right? Like
Really is.
there's quite a lot in a small area.
Once I actually went to university there, I stopped training as much there.
Yeah.
It's just maybe you're starting to spend a bit too much time there. But in like, yeah, the final year of high school, it was funny because I knew I was going to the U of M the next year, and like I already knew the campus like the back of my hand,
Yeah.
just from exploring every little nook and cranny to try to find like a different, yeah, like a new spot or like a new jump. And it just takes one other person's perspective to like find new jumps, I think. But everything that I could find with my perspective, I think I did.
Yeah.
You know, that's funny, Sam. You really like the U of M. When I was young, I would take my bike, my BMX, and ride around like 15, 16, and ride around the U of M and ride downstairs, you know, and stuff,
Yeah.
and think I'm really cool at the
Oh, you probably were.
university. Well, whatever it was, you know. But if I had parkour when I was like 15, 16, like I could have rode to the university, trained hard, and then rode back, but like that would have been the sport for going there instead of just like riding around and doing all this like
Oh, that's-
adolescent stuff, you know. You know, I really feel that way because like the university, like even for like BMX biking for what I was doing, had some pretty good stuff. But even if I go back now, I get this PK vision and I'm like, oh, this is so easy. I see it right here. I see it right here. Oh, this. Oh, I played on this so many times and I never saw it this way because I had my
Yeah.
BMX. You know what I mean?
But then your BMX, I guess, gives you a different set of eyes too. 'Cause
It
then you
totally
get
did.
other places to like, I don't know, hop and grind and
It totally did. It transformed into downhill mountain biking.
I'm always blown away when I watch mountain biking videos and BMX videos of like
Oh,
the control that people have with like it's almost like an extension of their body. It's like what we do
Yeah.
with
Yeah.
jumping, but then they use the bike as if it's their legs. I don't know.
see,
Yeah.
It's insane.
and that's
yeah.
another thing. I wasn't that great at BMXing either. Kind of thing. Like, it's something if I have a team or a prop, I'm no good at it. You know, give me a cement
You're easy.
mall and a curb and a bar, and I'm good. You know what I mean? Entertainment for years. You know.
There's a pretty big like the just when you come down from behind Max Bell on the main staircase, that's a pretty big. I think it's like I don't know, close to 9 feet.
Dang, no way.
And it's like one of those jumps where like you really had to train. Took me like several years to do it, and then the day I did it was like, wow, that's awesome. And then I'd still only do it on a session where I would like really felt good, just because it's a bit of a high. Like you wouldn't want to mess that one up. I don't know if you know what I'm
No.
talking about. You have like maybe an 8 foot, 9 foot drop
Yeah.
or something.
Yeah.
You know, when you do come back, I'm sure like, you know, Tyrion and Ben would love to train with you because as I remember, you used to train big gaps, big things as well,
Yeah,
and
they like big
Jesse as
gaps.
well. Yeah, so maybe you can show them something they haven't done already.
When I first saw, I sent Ben the link to this gap, or it was like a running precision that I always dreamed about doing,
Hmm.
and all of them did it. There's a video of them in some Instagram clip.
Does that piss you
Like-
off?
No, it's cool. I was pretty happy. I was stoked. I thought they could do it, but
Of course,
I thought it would at least be like kind of hard for them. But I think Ben did it first, and then all of them did it, and then
That's all it takes.
like I think Ben did it first without sticking it, and then like later they stuck it all, and it really
Cool.
looked easy. But it's huge when you look at it in person, and it's got this sketchy run up, like just good enough to do, and then behind it is this weird like there's like big rocks, but they're stuck in the concrete. So if you like kind of came off it, you would have to like really you could land, but it would be you'd have to kind of step in between the rocks.
Hmm.
So it's not like the highest consequence, but it's
Huh.
not like it's not low consequence either.
Right.
And it's a big jump. It's got to be like 13 feet and slightly up.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm sure when you come back here, they can show you a few things too. There's this one undergrab. No, seriously,
think they
like
could show
I don't
me a
mean
lot
that.
of things.
I don't mean that in a like I'm better than you kind of thing. But no,
No.
like they're trying to do this undergrab, Jesse and Ben undergrab to a one hand grab, and then I can't remember. But it was big, and I'm like, yeah, you guys do your own thing. Like, I know, like, it's too big for me. Like, good for you, kind of thing. But it's really neat. Like, they can do all sorts of things. So I'm sure they would love to train with you.
Yeah, it'd be cool.
All right. Well, we're pretty deep in here. Should we do our last question? Do you want to do
Go
this
for
one,
it.
Christy?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
So, Sam, what would be your sage advice?
Sage advice to the younger generation.
Yeah, so it could be just for people maybe getting into parkour or wanting to try out rock climbing, you know. It's all movement.
Yeah, I guess just like try not to let, oh, comes from kind of a privileged point, but like try not to like let life get in the way too much of training, because it's easy to like it's really hard to make time to do things, but the time is there for everybody. Like, and I think that was something that always allowed me to train. And like, I think the number one I don't know, even with rock climbing, I don't catch on, and parkour for sure, I didn't catch on as quick as some of the other people I train with, but I always didn't have trouble with my motivation. And I think I was good at like making time to go out and train and staying motivated. So whatever you personally feel you need to do to stay motivated, I think that's how I've started to excel with rock climbing. I think that's how I stayed motivated with parkour. Like now I'm not motivated to do parkour as much
Right.
as I was before, but it's kind of my motivation has been replaced. But I think for me, motivation was just how I stayed training. So do whatever you can to stay motivated, because like sets and reps and jumps are all part of being motivated, but just, yeah, the time can be found, I think.
Just prioritizing it.
Yeah, just prioritizing, staying motivated, and doing what you want to do is possible if you stay motivated. I guess there's my semblance of sage advice. And I don't think I think a lot of that new generation, they don't seem to have trouble staying motivated, which is cool to see. Like,
yeah, they'll be the next generations. Right on. Well, if people want to, follow you, find you, what's your Instagram or
my
YouTube?
Instagram is still WPK Sam.
Sick.
And so is my YouTube.
Yeah.
So yeah, you can follow me there. Yeah.
Posting all your rock climbing adventures.
Previous parkour spots. I still know quite a bit about a lot of interesting spots. Yeah, follow my rock climbing, I suppose. Yeah. Any questions about climbing, feel free, hit me up as well.
Cool. Well, awesome. Thanks for putting that out there.
Yeah. Well, thank you guys for organizing this. I think it's pretty cool. Like, it's a cool way to get like a verbal history and just record some conversations with old friends, and people in the community.
We feel it needed to be done somehow, or like, if not us, somebody somewhere. And why not us? Like, there's some history here, and why not get it out there? And everyone follows somebody differently. So if we could get like, somebody that that really changes our lives or impacts us, we would like to get them on the podcast and have a brief conversation with them. But like, we want to get involved with the OGs first, like yourself, like bring that kind of like community back, and maybe other people would be interested, and maybe come out for a jam and see what parkour is all about. Just not just crazy jumps, or it's other movement too, like, and it can veer off to other things, as they've seen through like 7 other podcasts.
You should get some of the real OGs, like Tyler. As well. Like, I mean, obviously I had Mark, but like, some of the other guys. I don't know if I can feel comfortable calling myself an OG, but Zeddy and
it's a
Tyler
relative term.
I guess so. Yeah.
Some of those old guys who are on the forum there.
Oh,
Yeah.
jeez.
That was
Yeah. It would
Well,
be.
if they're listening and they want to
Yeah.
reach out.
Please do leave a comment, message us.
Yeah.
I would like to know more about who everyone's talking about because that was before my time. Be nice to put a
Yeah,
face to
true.
the name. I know Hawk though. He was
Oh
pretty,
yeah.
he was pretty cool. He worked at CN and I worked at CN at one point, and not for
Oh, you
CN,
knew
but
before?
no, just after I met him at this one jam actually, and he's
And
talked
that guy
about
could
in
jump.
yeah, he was talked about in 2 Foot Punch, and same with Tom. And I'm just like, who are these people? Is Zeddy mentioned in it? I can't remember.
Yeah.
And for everyone
Hawk.
who wants to know what we're talking about, there's this book called 2 Foot Punch, and it takes place in Winnipeg, and it's mentioned.
2 Foot Punch.
Yeah, I can't really see this right now. Who is it? Oh yeah, Hawk, Tom, Kyle, Zeddy, Twizzy,
Kyle.
Spade, and
Twizzy, I didn't
Riley.
really know Twizzy
Yeah.
so well.
Do you know all those guys?
Oh yeah.
Oh, who's written this?
That's a really geez.
Oh.
That's probably going back to like 2020
2 Foot Punch.
or 2010, 2009 maybe,
It's an easy
or
read.
earlier. Maybe
Oh, I'll
even
have to get that.
2007.
I'll have to borrow that from you when I'm in.
Do you know, we're gonna do an ad for Oracle after this, so you can check it out there. I think it's
Yeah.
only a $10.99.
Wow. I've never. Was this? When is this come out recently?
No,
that's an
when'd you say,
old
Tom?
one. Old.
Whoa.
Man, yeah, it was in the first couple of years of my training. For
That's
sure,
about
so.
parkour in Winnipeg.
Yeah,
Really?
it's
a whole
Seriously?
novel.
fictional story. Yeah.
It's
That's cool.
What?
yeah, I know it's mind blowing. I have
Written by
two
who?
versions.
I couldn't quite read.
Anita Dalmer. Okay, so it's
Who's that?
Yeah, they're
ITA Anita Dalmer.
Who's Anita?
just an author.
Just
There was a whole reading, and I didn't attend it, but some of the other guys at the
Yeah.
time, I think, did a whole presentation at the book launch in Winnipeg here.
cool.
Yeah, that's some Winnipeg parkour history right there.
That's 200 pages.
No way.
I'll try
Okay,
to
I'll have to check
find
that
the
out.
videos of that and
Mhm.
post that
Yeah.
in the description
That'd be
here.
Cool.
Definitely will. Sales will go up for sure.
Mm.
Well, sorry, once again, Tom, Sam, thanks for coming onto the podcast. It's really nice to have you and see you around. I know I try and get in touch with you sometimes to have lunch when you're in Winnipeg, but that's like, who knows where I'll be in the next 5 days. You'll be in Winnipeg, so it's kind of cool to actually see and hang out through this weird kind of virtual world we live in now.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
I'll always be a fan, just so you know.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks, Sam, for doing this.
Yeah, no problem, guys.
It's a lot of
Thanks for
fun.
getting in touch.
Okay,
All right.
well, then,
All right.
everyone listening, thanks for listening or watching. Subscribe or comment something. Do something with it. Share this.
Yeah. Check it out.
Thanks for your
And,
support, everyone.
Bye.
Thanks, guys.